Daytime look that can easily be transitioned into a nighttime look, all by using colors that I got at Family Dollar called LA Colors. Now we're going to first start with a concealer. Now one of the things you want to do with concealer is to spot correct. That means to get a brush and put it on things that you want to cover up, like pimples, red spots around the nose, under the eyes, and I also like to put it in the corners of the mouth. That also gets rid of any undue shadows that you don't want to show through even when you apply foundation. Just be sure to pat it when you're applying it. Next, we're going to use a wet dry powder foundation on the face, and in the areas that you have concealer, just make sure you don't rub those areas. You want to make sure you pat them. Now that her skin is nice and even, and despite the fact that I use like a wet dry foundation, we're going to use powder to kind of set everything else, and we're going to lightly put that on the face, and the color that we're using for her is natural. You would lightly powder it, and then you would brush off any excess powder because you don't want it to look chalky or heavy. Now we're going to start with the eyes. We're going to use like a champagne color, and we're going to apply this from the eyelash to the crease. Starting with the lash line, we're going to move up. You can stroke it along the eyelid, but when you do want more intense color, normally you just pat it. That way you can pile on more color and more pigment, and the color could be a little stronger. But for this look, I want it to be a little sheer. Next, in the center of the eye, we're going to apply just a little white. Now what this is going to do is give dimension to the shape of the eye instead of just a flat champagne color. This is going to add a little interest. For the crease, we're going to go with a rich bronze color, and we're going to do this only in the socket area. So I like to have the eye open to make sure it's not applied too low, and we're going to apply the bronze all the way across, and then on the outer corners we're going to use a purple. By combining both colors, this is going to add the interest with the purple, but it's going to have the natural daytime look from the bronze. So after we've patted on with an applicator, I first stroke the bronze into the purple to kind of mix the two together, and then wipe off the brush to get any excess color off, and then blend it thoroughly. Then the bronze is picked up into the purple, and then a little bit of the purple is picked up into the bronze, but the colors are still separate enough so most of the purple is on the outer corner, but it still has a soft daytime look. It's not heavily done. For the brow area, instead of using a shimmer, since the other colors are a shimmer, I went with a face powder. And I got the face powder and blended it on the brow area and blended it down to meet where I applied part of the bronze so it could blend it seamlessly. You don't want a heavy start-stop look when it comes to a day look. Next, with that same purple that I used in the corner, I'm applying it at the lash line on the bottom of the eye. And I dragged that all the way up to the corner of the eye where I applied the purple originally. Now with that same brush that I had the face powder on, I lightly blended the corners just so they can connect, and then the rest I use with my finger to drag it together. So the purple on the lower half of the eye is a little richer than the purple in the crease. And that way it'll bring out the green in her eyes. Next, with the white shimmer, the same color I put in the center of the lid, we're going to put that on the inner corner of the eye as well as the lower half of the eye. So it's white on the inner corner and blends into purple on the outer corner. Now anytime you get fallout, a lot of times people like to use eye makeup remover to clean up. I personally like to use an eye moisturizer. I put a good amount of the eye moisturizer on, and then I get a tissue and wipe off any excess. The reason why I do this is that it can remove the excess fallout from the eyeshadow on the eye, but instead of having a remover constantly break down the makeup, at least the residue of the moisturizer can be absorbed into the skin. Now if I have applied the eyeshadow a little too low, I'll get the tissue and angle it from the outer corner of the brow to the corner of the nose and wipe off the excess there. And that'll also clean it up. And I pat on any excess moisturizer and clean up with any concealer to cover up anything else that I need to cover up. This will give a very clean line, but it gives you the hydration under the eye that you need, as opposed to removing all of the product of moisturizer and product of makeup and have to reapply as much makeup than you need. Last, we're going to powder it down with a little bit of face powder. Notice that I'm not using the same face powder that I did on the face. Instead, I'm using a smaller eyeshadow fluffy blender brush to apply the powder under the eye area. This will make it more precise. It keeps you from putting too much product under the eye, and it looks more natural. Next, to give the face highlight, I'm going to mix a little bit of that champagne color again and a taupey color. Now, this beigey kind of taupey color is kind of close to her skin tone, but since it has shimmer, it's going to give a natural glow to the face. Then we're going to top it with the natural color blush. Now, this is going to give the skin shimmer and make it look natural without it looking sparkly. Now for the lips, we're going to use their lip gloss, but I'm going to pat that same blush that I put on her cheek area right on top of that gloss. That's going to have her lip color match her blush and look very natural without it being done up. Now, one of the things that I love about LA Colors blush is that the natural blush is not frosty or shimmery, so it can look very natural. Last, we're going to finish up the look by applying mascara. Now, you can curl the lashes before you apply mascara. I personally didn't, but I did stroke the lashes up enough so it stayed wide and open-eyed. And as you can see from the whole look, her skin is glowing, she looks very natural, and it's wearable for day. Now it's time to transition that same look into night, only by using a couple of eyeshadow products. Now, everything else stays the same, but we're going to first start with their Purple Chunky eyeliner. Now, this eyeliner is a long-lasting one, and I really like it. I like to keep the color close to the lash line, but make it a little thicker on the outer corners, because we're going to drag that color up to make it a little bit more dramatic. After blending the eyeliner with a brush, we're going to use that purple eyeshadow powder from the palette and top the outer corners. And if you notice, I'm dragging the color down and in. That'll keep it from being too far out on the eye. You want to keep all of the focus to do like a nice lift to the eye, but you don't want to drag it so far out that you will have to adjust the brows. So we first blend all of the violet purple powder right on top of the eyeliner. Then we go back and drag it into the crease. Make sure that as you're blending this, that you do short strokes so you can have a no start-stop looks. It just blends seamlessly. Next, we'll mix the black with the same purple that we used. And we're going to put this a little further outer of the corner of the eye. This is going to make it a little deeper. With a clean brush, I just went right into the corner, and that finished up the look. So now you have an evening look only by a couple of eyeshadow colors. And you see from the daytime to the evening, they're both wearable. They're very easy to do. LA Colors is very affordable. And I made all of this by Family Dollar. So try it out. I think you'll like it. Make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel and my blog, CandiceCorey.com.